with the help of Zogby Analytics that found that fewer than half of New Yorkers think our city is on the right track. But they also support many of the policies that Mayor Bloomberg has implemented. Joining us to give a first look at the findings is Lawrence Mone. He is the president of the Manhattan Institute. Good to see you.
Thanks, Harold.
What made you decide to do this poll? You don't trust all the other polls that have been coming?
Well, we thought it was a good way to generate some discussion and bring some ideas into the debate. It was really based on something historically we had done back in 1992, when the city was in a real state of crisis. You know, we were hemorrhaging jobs, crime was high, the education system was a mess, and we polled with the Harris people and created a special issue of City Journal, which generated some ideas about that poll. And I remember when we did the conference, we had Rudy Giuliani in the audience, and he took notes. And about 12 years afterwards, when we gave Rudy an award, he had the same special issue of City Journal in his hand, which was marked up. So what we learned from that experience is that ideas matter, and a way of maybe getting people to think about new ideas is to get people's opinions and work from there.
Well, I mean, one of the first shockers is that 57% would consider leaving the city. There are some people ready to give up on the city, even a majority.
I think, you know, one of the challenges, and particularly for the younger people in the city, is that it's always been a mecca for upward mobility, and for some of the best and the brightest, I still think it is. But for some of the people on the lower rungs who are looking for jobs and opportunity, it's become more of a challenge, and I think the next mayor is going to have to address that in a serious way.
Now, when it comes to assessing the departing mayor's performance, it was really about an even split. I think 49% liked him, 48% said they not so hot on Bloomberg.
That's right.
Is that what does that tell the candidates, though? It seems like they could flip a coin about whether or not to be pro Bloomberg or anti Bloomberg.
I think what it tells people is that the things that the mayor maintains, say from the Giuliani administration, which is to have a very proactive policing strategy, you know, to work aggressively to keep welfare under control, to provide services in an efficient manner. People like those things, but it's insufficient. That there are new challenges that the city faces as, you know, we transition from the financial industry being the generator of wealth. We have to come up with new ideas of getting people ahead. And I think there's a dissatisfaction that hasn't been addressed, and people want some answers.
And one of the things you look at is proposals on education and the like.
Right.
And by and large, people seem to like the current mayor's approach to crime and even to education, right? People seem wedded to choice in some of the reforms that he's put in place.
I really would like to emphasize, because generally they're very supportive of the police department. About 65%, you know, feel the police department is doing a good job. There was a kind of mix or split on the stop and frisk policy, which is quite controversial. But all in all, I think they know that the police are out there protecting them, and they endorse that. On education, it's really even more remarkable. 86% of our voters surveyed said that parents should have more choices in terms of the kinds of schools that are out there, and that I think would include the charter schools. And then when we got down into the subtext, we found many of the things that happen in charter schools are things that they also endorse, such as allowing principals to hire and fire teachers, to extend the school day, and to both in terms of hours and in terms of days, and also to link the performance of teachers with the rewards they get. So on a majority of those major issues of the Bloomberg reform agenda in education, there seems to be a real interest in supporting that effort.
Now when you put forward these findings, and when you talk about, I mean, Manhattan is always doing forums. Are the mayoral candidates kind of sitting in the back taking notes? Are they getting plugged into this stuff?
They're certainly open to doing that. What we'll probably do is a series of panel discussions where we'll have experts from, you know, both sides weigh in on these issues, but then we'll have a special forum in the end where we will invite the mayoral candidates to come in and hear what we have to say. So we would encourage them all. And in point of fact, now that we have the results of the poll, the door of the Manhattan Institute is open for any kind of off-the-record discussion that any of the candidates would like to have.
That could get very interesting. I think probably most of my viewers are assuming that the Republicans have reached out to you. The Republican candidates have reached out to you at some point, if you weren't already kind of talking to them.
Yeah, I don't want to betray any confidence, but the reality is some of the candidates have approached us. But, you know, I would like to be clear that we're open to working with all the candidates, Democrats and Republicans. As you may know, the Manhattan Institute works with mayors in other cities, including Cory Booker across the river in Newark, who's a a diehard Democrat, and we're all about getting the right ideas. You know, it has nothing to do with the partisan left.
Oh, no, you've got the camouflage of your name, the Manhattan Institute. Right? Meanwhile, you guys are doing stuff in Detroit and all over the place.
We love cities. We think cities matter, and certainly New York is the greatest one, and we want to make sure it maintains that greatness.
When we see in your poll that 63% of New Yorkers think that the city is not doing enough to help businesses create jobs and the like, I mean, in some ways, that was the one thing we were supposed to get from a Bloomberg administration.
Right. Well, I think, you know, the mayor always felt that, you know, New York being a global city, that it was the kind of city where people would pay the kinds of extra costs that were needed to deal in that kind of environment. And to some extent, that's true. But it presents challenges for the people on the bottom of the rung, you know, who aren't going to be in the financial industry, who need to, you know, find jobs in other industries. And there, I think it's something that we have to kind of meet that challenge in improving the educational system, in dealing with generating small business, getting rid of some of the taxes and fines and regulations that inhibit their growth. And that's an area where I think the new mayor can be more aggressive than.
I mean, it's funny, you mentioned taxes, and I know the Manhattan Institute has a lot of people who are very vociferous about why and how taxes can be too high. But in the poll, 54% said that they actually would be in favor of paying higher taxes, provided it went to improving primary education.
Absolutely. I think, you know, the overwhelming factor that I found from this poll was that people feel that the educational system is the most critical engine for mobility and growth and getting people ahead, and that they would be willing to pay the extra money for that.
And that wouldn't necessarily change the minds of E.J. Dionne and some of the other Manhattan Institute stalwarts, would it?
It's not clear. I mean, I think what we want is accountability. In other words, if you get more money, you have to show the results. And I think that's the key linkage here, that the dollars have to follow results, and we can't keep rewarding failure. And I think that's where the Bloomberg administration has made some great good faith efforts over the past 12 years, and I think that's something that the new mayor will have to continue if he wants to succeed. He or she, I should say.
Very good. So more to come. We're looking forward to seeing what gels as you take this to the next level, and I do hope that some of the candidates will come in and chat with you, even if to tell you that they don't agree with you. It's a conversation we need to have.
We welcome that. We enjoy that discussion and debate, and the city desperately needs it.
Very good. Okay, folks, to see all of the results of this poll, go to manhattan-institute.org. We're going to take a break now. Still to come, we'll ask the four members of our Consultants Corner if concerns about the IRS and the terrorist attack in Benghazi could bog down President Obama's